Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Barbara, just a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Do you want your questions as they come up, or would you like to wait and hold them until the end?
Let's kind of play it by ear. I'm glad to keep an eye on the chat. And so if people want to use that, then it feels kind of engaging that way. So that's fine. And then we'll kind of keep an eye on the time as well.
Okay. So Elizabeth and I are both going to be helping you out, so we can help you with the questions as they arise.
Okay.
All righty.
Do you want me to start sharing my screen?
I'm going to introduce you. I thought we would. Okay, I guess I could start now since it's noon.
Okay.
All right. I would like to welcome everyone to this Marketing Academy event. We're really very privileged today to have Barbara Shuck, who owns her own company called Everest, and she's also a SCORE mentor and workshop presenter. And I want to tell you a little bit about Barbara so you have a little background. She says creating clear marketing is hard, and creating compelling messages in professional communication can feel daunting. Not only that, how are you supposed to know all the leading practices for strategy, messaging, persuasion, and readability? Barbara Shuck, she gets it. It's a lot to think about, and you shouldn't have to worry about it. It's why she uses more than 35 years of marketing expertise to help you focus on what you do best. Delivering superior products and services is valuable. She has a bachelor's degree in communication arts and French, a master's in international business marketing with a marketing emphasis, and is a story brand certified coach. So, having presented to more than 150 markets in 25 years, I believe Barbara is well positioned to bring us some really great information today. So, I introduced Barbara. Oh, and just so you know, I'm not sure it's important, but I'm Pauline Stark. I'm the Assistant District Director with SCORE, and we work very closely with the Small Business Association, SBA, and Elizabeth, who is with the SBA, is also online today. So you have lots of resources for questions as we move forward. So Barbara, please take it away, share your screen, and let's hear great things about marketing.
Okay. So who of y'all woke up this morning and said, yay, we get to talk about marketing today? I know I did. So let me just get my presentation going. Ugh, don't you know, you get it all set up and then it doesn't quite work the way you want. So adaptability, that's the name of marketing these days. We'll talk about that. So awesome. Thank you, Pauline. Appreciate that. And all of that stuff means is that I love the profession and the part of the business about marketing. And I also just have a heart for small businesses, entrepreneurs, people trying to figure all this out. And so I do want to make sure this is a kind of an opportunity for you to trying to find my screen so I can see the chat. So that we can kind of share ideas, answer questions, make sure that this time is well spent for you. So I do have my chat box open. If you have questions or anything like that, feel free to type them in there. Pauline and Trish and Elizabeth are going to help me kind of monitor that. So I do want to get to the end. So we'll kind of play it by ear and see how things go. But please, I want this time to be really helpful for you. So let's kind of start climbing that ladder of steps to business success. It's a big deal to have a business. And so I really kind of want to find out who's here today, who's joining us. If you can put in the chat the type of business that you have, if it's a service business, if it's a product business. I saw somebody has Bears Lawn Services. I see that. And so I'm just kind of curious what kind of business you have so that we can make sure that this content is really focused on the kinds of topics that you're most interested in. So go ahead and use the chat. I'll take just a minute. New and used sporting goods, marketing for several small businesses, good a service. Ooh, handmade greeting cards, online apparel, information services, pet care. A lot of services in here, consulting and teaching, government relations, professional services. Awesome. So matchmaking and marketing for a gym, all kinds of things. So it's interesting in that my background is in professional services marketing, and it has some couple of different angles onto it that we won't get into a lot today, but certainly want to make sure that all of these topics apply to the kinds of challenges and all that you have. So at some point, you either have an idea that you haven't quite launched yet, or you had an idea and it's like, oh, does anybody get so excited for these ideas? I want to do something. I want to make an impact on the world. And you're ready to commit. You maybe have committed. Maybe you've been in business for a year or two or three or five, or you're really just on that edge of making some decisions about where you're going to take your business and you take your idea. So I think this probably resonates with everyone. So a lot of times the question is, well, what's next? Where do I start? What do I do? And so I know that my passion and my interest is really in the marketing, as Pauline described. And I've been in 35 years, I've been in marketing and specifically in professional services for 25 years. And then before that, I was a business owner and had a printing company. So we actually did produce things and manufacture things. What all that means is that there is sales that's involved, there's communications that's involved, there's writing, there's speaking, there's digital marketing. All of these things come together, and so everything that I think about today, at least, and a lot of the things that I do usually comes through the filter of marketing and sales and connecting with other people. So today we're going to be excited because you have your own business and you're ready to launch success and want to learn more about the marketing function of it. And then it's kind of like, well, now what do you do? Are you new? Are you experienced? What can you do with all of this information? And then we do have these 8 steps for marketing effectiveness. So as Pauline mentioned, my background is in her education is in communication arts, which is really journalism. And so I've done a lot of writing in my career and as specifically as it relates to marketing. But I want to kind of break these steps into the 5 W's and the H. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Who are we connecting with? Where are we connecting with them? When, a schedule, and how. That's always the biggest question. And then I love this concept of so what. So how do you stand out? What does this mean? And that's a way for you to really connect with your audiences. And now we've got now what. And I want to take a few minutes to think, we're in this changing economy, changing world, and how do we adapt to change? How does that affect our marketing impact and what we're decisions that we're going to make? Because as a business owner, my interest is give me all of the information that I can in lots of different areas, the finances, the marketing, distribution, all that, and then let me gather the information, listen to the insights of experts so that I can make better decisions. And I trust myself, but I don't, maybe I need some insights about what decisions do I need to make. So that's what I want today to help you with. So I think we all probably have a concept of marketing, and a lot of times it gets confused with sales, but we're trying to figure out what is a target market, who wants the things that we have to sell, how are we going to reach them, how are we going to reach them in a way that they know, like, trust, and want to buy our products and services? How do we build awareness, which is this branding, which is the ongoing presence of what our company and our product is? And how do we generate leads? Because that's what it's going to take to sell, to move from this somebody is aware of us, just has an inkling, to no, I want to buy that product. So all of marketing is really based on knowing your customers. You've got to know the competition because it's kind of a competitive environment out there. You want to figure out how you're different from the competition, how you can stand out. And then you have to know the market, what's the environment that you're operating in so that you can stand out. So why is it even important? I think we all agree that we've got a product, but we've got to get it to our buyers, and that's really what marketing is to help you with. So just because you have a product, just because you have a service that you want to operate, lawn service and snow removal, let's kind of take that. We all know that, well, until Sunday or yesterday, I'm in Blair, it snowed here. you're not going to be doing snow removal services likely in June and July. So that isn't the market for snow removal services, but the lawn repair services is something that you can do. So lawn service and snow removal is a great way to expand the time frame that you can operate your business. And that means that you have a market for that service that's seasonally based. So that's what we're talking about, is this market is that the environment that we're operating in. And I'm a firm believer in planning and having a strategy so that you can, once you know your product, your customers, and your competitors, you have a way of managing your resources so that you spend your money wisely. If you just react to everything that comes along, you may not have the traction and the continuity that is going to build this perception and this awareness about your product over the long run. And business ownership, as you all know, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We have to be agile, we have to be in fitness and in good shape for it, but we need to be doing the right things over and over again, because it takes many connections with people for them to even remember that you exist. I've heard as three, and I think it's not three, I'm going to say it's 8 or 10 or 12 times that somebody has to be exposed to your product or your service before that even really kind of sinks in. So this is why marketing is important, because it puts things into a sustainable operation. So I saw this recently, and I think it's really interesting that the who is, of course, your customers, but there's also the influencer, the people who impact the decisions for the purchasing decision. So we're constantly in this mode of meeting people, building relationships, and selling people. And when we think of it as kind of a life cycle of sales, then it's never ending. And so it isn't, and it isn't sequential. It is, once we sell somebody, doesn't mean that we're going to stop meeting other people and building relationships. So it is an ongoing, constantly moving process of building this awareness. And to the customers, the people who actually are interested and can purchase your product or service. And then the influencers are the people who are around those people. So as we all know, let's take cereal as an example. We have advertising for cereal on TV or social media or whatever to get the kids hooked in, so that they will tell their parents, hey, I want that cereal. I want you to buy that for me. And so children are the influencers of a lot of these kinds of products within families. So there's always influencers to help people decide to buy something. And then there's always, of course, the customers that we're appealing to with all of our marketing. So you may have heard about this thing called a marketing mix, and this is the what is this world of marketing, and what do I need to know so that I can make better decisions? So first of all, then, is the product, and this is your product, your service, and the things that make your offering, give it its essence, let's say. So if you have a product, then what's the packaging? I have a service, so how do I communicate about my services? How do I describe them? Do you have a warranty? Do you have a guarantee? What are the considerations for that? A stage in the life cycle is some products and services are brand new on the market, and some have been around for a long time. So if you're brand new, then you've got to hit the ground running. You have to really ramp up, because people don't know what your product or service is. You have to explain it to them. And then as that cycle becomes more mature, more other companies come into the competitive marketplace, and then you have to differentiate yourself. So for example, I've been watching masks, and gosh, before last March, I never even thought about masks. I know I get my nails done, and those people wore masks in those salons, but I never even thought about me ever wearing one. Well, now there's all kinds of displays in stores. There's advertising on TV. There's the infomercials. There's all different kinds of masks available. I see them on end caps in Target and Walmart and all these places. And now, so that is a new product, or it's a existing product that now has a new use. And so in this life cycle of a product, there's a lot of commotion, there's a lot of sales about that, because we want to get people out there. Of course, there's a health reasons, but companies that are creating these masks want to get the message out there to buy theirs, and how theirs are different, better, more colorful, different sizes, and those kinds of things. So then what is the unique selling proposition, is how does it stand out in all of this sea of products and services? And we'll dig into that in a little bit. Then there's the price considerations. Are you a luxury price or are you a discount price? How, if you have a luxury product, then how many do you need to sell for break even? How are you going to compete? How can you justify an additional price? And if you're a discounted type of a product, how do you convince people that it's the quality that they would be looking for? So making a informed decision about what the price of your product is very important. I know for my business, when I started consulting a couple of years, 3 years ago, I had what I thought would be my hourly rate, my standard rate for services, and I priced it lower because, frankly, I just needed to get some experience under my belt, and I had to convince myself that I was worth that price. That's a whole nother story. But as I've gotten more experience and more as I've realized the value of my services and I've refocused my messaging to it, I've increased my price so that I feel better about it, and I understand what my break even point is, how I'm going to manage my business based on a different hourly rate. And then I can adjust it based on lots of different variables for clients. But I always want to make sure I'm making a profit. And so it's really important that you know that the cost of what it takes to run your business, and all of the overhead and all of the pieces that, equipment or materials and those kinds of things. So price is a really important factor to have a strong hold of, that is part of the marketing mix. It isn't just separate from marketing. So then we've got place. Where is your product going to be sold at? Are you going to have a bricks and mortar store? Is it going to be online? Is it going to be a home-based business, and you'll do appointments? Do you have virtual? Is your appointments with this pandemic, has it changed from a consulting or advisory kind of service? Are you going to change how you operate? Instead of face-to-face meetings, then maybe you're going to have virtual meetings. All of these things are how are you going to get your product or your service out to the people who are interested in it. And again, with the pandemic, I've got a friend who is a social or a therapist, and she just recently posted on Facebook that due to the health considerations, she's having virtual meetings with her clients, and she has an office. She has a two office setup, and so she's going to sublet or sublease her second office because she isn't there as much and she doesn't need it. So she's hoping to connect with someone who might be interested in using that space, and she's very negotiable on the price. But her business has changed due to this pandemic, and so now this is impacting her overhead and how she's going to offer her services, and then get kind of creative with how can she cover that cost by opening up subleasing that area. So this is all really important, and we get really excited about selling our services and thinking about these things, but price and place are really integral parts of how we're going to get that product to market, because there's cost and there's money involved, and we need to make really good decisions. Finally, there's promotion, and this is generally how are you going to promote your product? It's communications. What message are you going to have for your product? And then how are you going to spread that awareness and promote the message on what kinds of channels and platforms? And that has changed in all these 25 years and 35 years of experience. Boy, the whole promotional strategies have really changed. And even now, I think they're constantly changing because technology is just skyrocketing, and it's really changing the way that we market these days. So kind of want to go through the where is the channel. So where is your message going to get communicated? And there's, I like kind of an easy plan: low cost, higher cost, and then supporting channels. So we've got here the lower cost channels. Social media is definitely a lower cost. At the same time, you're putting messages out there, and while there are tremendous ways of placing advertising and analyzing that, you don't own the audience. And whereas email marketing and content marketing, and having people sign up for information on your website, you own that information. So I appreciate social media, but I like to know that I've got the contact information for my target audience, and I can promote my products the way that I want to control, rather than necessarily having it be more on an open market with social media. There's blogs writing about your products, in different kinds of platforms, and also commenting in other kinds of platforms that other organizations like LinkedIn and other social media have. And then there's public relations and publicity. Some of that you pay for, some of it is free, but those are generally less costly kinds of channels to get your message out. Then you have higher cost channels: advertising, direct marketing, promotion, special events, having a sales force. And something that I've noticed about advertising in the past several years is a lot of advertisers are, in order to keep their advertising revenue coming in, like in magazines and publications and even online advertising, is they're fairly negotiable. So if you're looking at online advertising through organizations and things like that, dig in and see if they have any specials. Maybe you get a lower rate if you place more advertising, or maybe they're changing their entire advertising structure and rate structure to get people to advertise more. So that's just something to think about. So those supporting channels are those things that we kind of forget about. So if you have employees, or let's say you have families that are part of your business, make sure they know exactly what you're doing in the business and what your messages are and what your business plan is, so that they can be helpful, they can be influencing, they can be a supporter for getting your message out there. And internal signs and banners, giveaways, and marketing materials. And think about some of those that are less, I don't know, they're kind of traditional or kind of conventional, but think about things like your business card. Make sure you've got a good, clean, easy to read business card with accurate information. Maybe you can get t-shirts or hats, or those apparel, so that you're always wearing something that has your company logo on it. What about signage for vehicles? Um, and then, just think about what are some easy thing, or they're not easy and they all cost something, but what are some things that are more habitual that you will be more comfortable with to have available, so that it can be in the on the refrigerator, it can be on someone's desk, but it can be a point of reminder that people have things. And when it comes to giveaways, the best giveaways are those things that people use every day. Not necessarily the most clever, but if somebody, that's why people buy pens and magnets for refrigerators, is to have your information front and center to the kinds of things that people use. So the most coveted items are helpful, they're useful, and that people will keep your item because excuse me, because it's just a great item to have around. Sorry about that. My voice got dry. So then the next item is when. So think about the timing for all of your efforts. If you have a business, do you have office hours? I know, for example, for my business, I really don't have office hours, but I find that I'm have fewer and fewer office hours, and I'm more available from early in the morning until late at night. A lot of my business is in Arizona, and they're right now, this time of year, they're 2 hours after me. So it means that from while it's 5 o'clock here, it's only 3 o'clock there. So I want to monitor my emails. I want to be open to the fact that people could be calling me, so that I don't miss an opportunity. So it's getting outside of our own heads sometimes and thinking about, well, when is it the most convenient time for the people who need my services, so that I can be available to them and there isn't a barrier for them to buy. What about holidays? We've got the traditional holidays and we have a lot of other holidays. What is your approach going to be on the hours? Are you going to be open? Are you going to be closed? And if you aren't open, then make sure to communicate that, either if you have an email, through the email, a phone message, or even post your your hours or your schedule on your website, so that it's easy to to find out for buyers to when you're available, and holidays are always kind of difficult. Are you having any special events? If you have a anniversary celebration or open house or some kind of thing, make sure to get that posted so that people can find out about it and do it well ahead so that they can plan accordingly. Are you going to be available online? And if you are, what about things like your shipping and delivery schedules? What about customer service? How responsive is the expectation that you want to be? People are pretty darn impatient these days, and they want pretty immediate responsiveness. They want to know that something is going to be shipped. I know that my husband bought something online, and they kept saying it was going to ship and it was going to ship and it was going to ship, and it never did. And he canceled the order because he couldn't get that information from them, and they were unavailable to give him the answer that he was looking for. It was always just this, well, we'll let you know, we'll let you know. And it really created a negative impression on him to the point that he canceled the order. And then finally, you're going to have return policies. That's related to the warranty and the guarantee. But what happens if someone isn't satisfied with your product, and how are you going to manage that in a timely manner so that it doesn't become a barrier to the transaction? And here we are at the biggest question: how am I going to do all this? And so I always like to think it's going to start with research. You have to have the basics figured out so that you can make better decisions. You know, we all know what we're selling, but think about it from the standpoint of, what problems does it solve? Is it going to be a pleasure for the client? How am I going to get in touch with prospective clients? And for me, I have written this down just in a Word document, and I just, kind of blah on the paper with, what do I want my business to look like? And I just kind of answer all these questions so that it's more than just in my head, and I can have it and I can review it and I can have expectations of what I want my business to look like. So I'm always trying to think of my business in terms of, what is somebody else, what is it that they need that I can help them with? And then I can do a better job of making good decisions. So then we have to think about positioning and pricing that we kind of started talking about is, like I said, are you a luxury product? Are you a discounter? Are you a leader? Do you have a new product, a new innovation that hasn't been created before? If that's the case, it takes longer because you have to explain what it is. What is the image of the product? Again, that, the slick, hip, slick, and cool, is it polished, or is it just more utilitarian? And then how does that differentiate you from the competition? How do you stand out so that a potential buyer can see your product and go, that's what I want? Because we all have these little decision making points throughout the process, and what we want them to know is what makes us different, so that and it will be based on the things that are interesting and what they're looking for, so that they'll make this decision to buy. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here so we can either answer questions or type in the chat here. Answer this question: our clients buy from us and not the other company because? And that starts to help you think about what's different about your product, and how can you create this selling proposition that causes people to want to buy your product. So if you've got some ideas, put them in the chat and we can kind of look at them. My clients buy from me and not the other company because they see my trucks, and my trucks have really cool wraps on them that are really eye-catching, and I've got trucks on the street all the time, so I know that I have a lot of visibility with my product. Our clients buy from us and not the other company because I'm easy to find and provide outstanding quality and service. I'm going to encourage you to dig deeper. Easy to find online. Do you have great signage? Who's looking for you? Is your location easy to find? Outstanding quality and service. Dig in a little bit more. Here we go. Online through Google search. Great. Good SEO. it could be an innovative product. Keep looking up all the different ways people can find you in the language that they do. Um, Clarify outstanding quality. Your product service, your service is better. There's proven results. Your product is durable. Um, it's easy to clean. It's easy to maintain. It's easy to use. So keep finding specific ways that you can talk about how your product or service is better so that it's clear in the minds of that person who is going to be looking for your product. And use simple words. Here we go. We educate our customers on what they are buying and why they need it. Sporting equipment, size of bat, and we'll take trade-ins to defray cost of new. That's getting much closer. What is the problem? What's the solution? And what's the outcome? So we help clients buy sporting equipment and provide sizing and custom sizing. Period. We love trade-ins, and we save money for you because we take trade-ins and exchanges. It's kind of rough, but those are the kinds of things. Keep it so that it's tangible for the people who are interested in buying your products. Let's keep going, and we'll continue to brainstorm on some of this. The most important thing about communication is that make sure that it's absolutely clear in your client's mind. And we have a tendency to use words that are more complicated, and just keep thinking about simple words. So we want to make sure that everything that we're talking about with our product is the perception and the awareness that we want to create in the minds of our buyers, and that it is accurate to the perceived value of what that is. So if you have a luxury item, then you want to make sure that your communications are very well done, and you don't want to use the cartoon font, for example. You would want to use something that is strong and it's secure. If you've got the snow removal and lawn business, you want to use tough, strong lettering on that, because it's a strong service that you provide. Whereas if you've got house cleaning, where your audience may be more female oriented, then you want to have a clean look, something that is it doesn't have to be as strong. It can be some nice images of clean homes, and the font can be a little bit more creative, maybe some italic or some of the not necessarily hard to read script, but something that is a little bit softer. So think about, how does your product or your service, the photos you use, the fonts that you use, everything that you're using to communicate everything about your product, it has to be consistent with what the value of your product is. So then we get into advertising and promotion. And this is when you have a business, you have the place where your products are in the competitive marketplace, and there's a value for being in a niche market, which means a fewer number of buyers, and yet there is fewer number of competitors potentially too, so you can stand out. So that's a whole strategy of how broad of a product do you have in the competitive marketplace. You may want to partner with other companies to add value and reduce costs. So I'm going to go back to the lawn service company, because if you just had the lawn service company and you didn't have anything to do in the winter, you didn't have the snow removal, then you could team with a snow removal company and cross-reference, provide some referrals and things like that if you didn't have the whole business in one place. So think about related types of businesses that you might talk to see if they can refer you, or if you can collaborate sometimes on some advertising schemes and things like that. We've seen a lot in TV. Like if there's a new movie, I'm thinking of Transformer came out, and in the movie Transformer, they introduced the new version of a Camaro. That was the first time that anybody saw that body style of the new Camaro was in that movie. And so they did cooperative advertising with between Chevrolet and that movie, and it was a real hit. So a lot of times we'll see this advertising where two brands are advertising together to make introductions and to make a big splash so that people really stand up and pay attention. Then there's this AIDA where you want to capture someone's attention, create interest, and then create that desire so that they will act. It's no like trust, it's moving them from not being aware of you at all to increasing and pushing so that they become loyal customers, even referrals, they become advocates for you. So we always want to be thinking of moving people through that, and it isn't just one customer at a time moving through it. You're doing all those kinds of things all the time because you have customers in the sales funnel the entire time, and everybody has different knowledge about you. We talk about volume discounts and other non-cost benefits of things you can do. Sales or discounts or special offers or small business day kinds of things, but there's all different kinds of things that you can do that promote your company and increase the interest in it. And then here's a whole bunch of resources and platforms and different things that you can do. So as you know, there's all kinds of places that you can be with your products. What are going to be the most likely to be seen and appreciated by the people who are the most interested in what your product and service is? And then start small and be consistent, because it takes time for these marketing messages to hit the market, to get received, and then for people to act on it. So a lot of companies want to have a mix of channels, so they may use a website is a very good place to start, and then you have social media, and you're constantly using your social media to point back to your website to provide more information about you or to create that transactional opportunity. So those are both digital platforms, and they each have a purpose. So we're constantly thinking about, how do we get people to the place where they will buy? Sometimes it's a website, sometimes it's a store. Sometimes for me, I just want people to call me. So one of the things I have on my website is I have a place where they can schedule a meeting, and it goes to an online calendar program. They can pick an appointment time, and it will automatically set up an appointment for them. And so they can get, and that instantly gets on my calendar, so that there is a easy way for them to get in touch with me. And it's a great way for me not to really have to do anything. And I turns up I have an appointment, and so I'm going to handle that appointment because I know that it came from my website. So set up these kinds of things so that you're constantly having your channels kind of talk to each other and coordinate with each other, which means that you'll have more outcomes. Think about the timetable for all of your promotional planning. The holidays are coming up. I don't know if you were part of the webinar I did a couple weeks ago, but start planning for the holidays now. How are you going to make all these things happen? What are some deadlines that you want to have, some critical milestones that you want to have to meet for sales? Of course, you have to have a budget. How much is it going to cost you? And then getting the plan known throughout your business. If you've got employees, if you've got relatives or friends of your business, you want to make sure that all of these people who you use as influencers are aware of what you're doing, so they can help you spread that message. And if you're going to be doing social media, ask your friends to share and to comment so that they will get that message out even further. So one of the things that is really hard is that somebody's going to call you and give you a deal, and just make a decision now, and we've got a campaign, we know we'll get the results, and you haven't ever heard of them before, or it's not really something that you had planned for. So just be aware that you having your own plan, knowing your market, knowing your audience, knowing your products and services, and having a well-structured plan, stick with the plan and be aware if something is coming up that kind of sounds too good to be true, or it can divert you from the focus that you have. It's measured steps done consistently that will be the most effective for your business. And don't just do something just to do it. Make sure that think about, what is the purpose of what I'm doing? What do I want to accomplish because I have a promotion in place? What is the purpose of my social media posts. I want to get people to come to my website, not just look at pictures of my products. I want people to come to my website so they can find out more information about me, so that they will set up appointment, they will make a purchase. So everything needs to have a purpose. And the more consistent you are in thinking that through, the more effective it will be. And of course, there's limited resources of money, so use budgets, create tracking systems so you know exactly how the money that you're spending is being used, and you have a way of looking to see if it's causing the outcomes that you want. I know for myself, I have some giveaway items, and I've get asked to sponsor events quite a bit, and I think, okay, is that where my customers are? How do I get these items to my customers? How is it something, do I have to mail it to them, or is it something that I'll hand deliver? So I need to make sure that I'm budgeting for those things, because I need something to represent me when I'm not there. And at the same time, I have to think, well, a $5 item is just way more than I can afford for the kinds of clients that I'm getting. I'm going to have something that's maybe a $3 item or something like that, so that I can have enough of them so that I can get them to all the clients and all the contacts that I'm going to be making during a particular time period. So you just have to think about, again, what's the best bang for your buck? What is your budget? Make a budget for these items, and the time also that's related to that, and that you can have an impact that is meaningful rather than just stuff and a lack of purpose. The more focused we are, the better we're going to be. So like I said, set a marketing budget, stick with it, understand your 4 Ps. What is the price? Is your price enough to be able to run your business? What are the impacts of changing prices or different levels of prices? How does that all fit into creating a budget that you can work with? Um, know what changes affect your pricing. It could be that with this pandemic, we may have had to really shift a lot in terms of how we're offering our services, how things can work. Maybe we're adding free shipping in because we just want to get products to people, and at the same time, that's going to be a cost of business. So how are we going to figure out all of these variables that are out there so that we can make the best decisions to get our products to the people? And then being agile is being adaptive, which means that when you have a budget and you can track it, then you can adapt more easily because you have information to make better decisions. So this is my so what sign. This is one of my giveaways that I have. And I always try to use this so what, why does anything that I do matter to my clients? So this unique selling proposition is, again, it's what makes your product or service different. How can you make it clear? How can you make it specific? So when we say we have quality products or better products, you've got to show some proofs. You have to show exactly what is the advantage, thinking about it from the client, your customer's perspective. Um, what makes your product stand out? What can they buy from you that they can't buy from someone else? There's all and watch advertising. Look at what's on TV for products and online, and start noticing how are they communicating the value of the features of their product in terms of what's important to the client or their customer. And if you have a commodity kind of an item, let's say, let's use masks as an example. There's all kinds of masks out there. If you've got a mask that looks like everybody, the the disposable masks, they all kind of look the same. What is different about that mask? Maybe you sell them in larger packets so that they'll last a month rather than a week. Maybe they are disposable, so they're healthier, so that people, after you sneeze in them, you don't feel bad about, you don't have to wash it, you can just throw it away and it's more cleanly. Maybe this pack of 100 is cheaper than 2 packs of 50. So how can you make this so that there is an advantage of buying even a commodity item that matters to the customer and what they're looking for? So, okay, this is a slide that I want to leave up here for a while. So relating to the pandemic, how are we adapting to change? How has the pandemic, the working from home, the reduced traffic on the streets, or whatever that is, how are you adapting to that? And let's put some ideas in the chat box to kind of help each other out and kind of think through how is that impacting your marketing plans, your pricing, your distribution, your communications. How have you adapted to the pandemic that we might be able to share some insights with others on the call? Or maybe you've got some questions. How can you? I'm glad to try to brainstorm some of that too. Any particular challenges? Curbside pickup if requested, absolutely. I've noticed that I think it's Pizza has curbside delivery, and they have it contactless so that they will put the pizzas in your trunk or in the back of your car. So there really is no contact, which is, I think it's very creative. I just applaud people who have figured out contactless kind of delivery and services and things like that. I think it's amazing. Mike says everything I've done is already done online, so there have been no changes. Absolutely. Some of us are just minimally changing what we're doing. More marketing of how we can clean our store and use products that come in for resale. Absolutely. I think we all are kind of focused on how it's safe to come to my store, my office, and how you're adapting to just the products that you have. I know in some stores you can't try things on anymore, but they'll take a return. So how are we adapting to it? One of the new marketing things that's out there is called agile marketing, and really what that means is rather than having a year-long plan about what you're planning on doing, you maybe have a 3-month plan or a 6-month plan so that you can say, okay, I don't have to have the crystal ball for a year from now, but in 3 months, here are some steps that I want to take. Here are some things that I'm going to do, and I'm going to reevaluate them and adjust accordingly and not feel like I'm trying to predict unknown things in the future. For example, I'm submitting for some presentations next year to speak at a conference. Well, I don't know if we're going to be in person at that conference. And B, while I have this topic that I want to talk about, what I said in my presentation was between now and then, I'm going to do research on this topic based on the trends in business that we're seeing. And so that presentation will incorporate the lessons learned between now and then so that the information for the audience will be relevant and it'll be timely, and it won't be, I didn't say this, but it won't be something that I wrote in 2020 that is going to be delivered in 2021. So that is just kind of this agile thinking about, I don't have to make decisions right now that are going to be long term. I can make decisions and shorten that term up so that it gives me some flexibility, and because there's so much that's going on right now and so much that's changing in the world. So the agility of companies to make a plan and respond to it is a big topic, a lot more important. So I'm going to keep going, and then we'll have more time for questions and comments. And so just think about it. You've got this business, you have this marketing plan, you've thought through a lot of these plates in the air and juggling balls, and you have a vision of success. So think about for yourself, what does success look like for you? Are you building relationships that are going to be seeded into long-term engagements? How can you enhance your transactions, or what are you doing that's going to have better transactions for the future? Maybe it's an investment in technology or different kinds of things, but think about what that success picture looks like. How will your company look when you have sustainable sales? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to? And make sure that you have that vision of the future in your head so that you could be making the decisions now that will be the steps that get you that way. I know for me, I'm always looking for loyal clients and deeper relationships with the clients who I have so that I can impact their businesses more and have more of a fewer clients, but a deeper relationship with them. We all want happy, if we have employees or family or significant others and relatives and things like that. Success for me is having a business that I'm proud of, that my family and that my colleagues are proud of as well, or that I can grow it into a place where I will have employees. Um, what are some of the endless possibilities that I haven't even thought about? And I'm a big believer in vision boards and big sky thinking and allowing myself to dream so that I have many points in front of me that keep me focused on that upward trajectory. So, part of your marketing and business, running your business is, gosh, what does success look like? It feels sometimes like I'm in the trenches right now, but I know that there are some great things ahead, and I want to vision those so that they will come true. So, think about what is your measure of success, what's going to make you happy, and live day to day toward those kinds of successes. So, Elizabeth, I think I sent this worksheet to you and want to make sure that we can get it out to all the attendees. It's just a Word document that helps you to kind of walk through some of these things that we've talked about. First of all, we start with kind of some background information. What are your goals? And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but this helps you to have this map, this roadmap for success. And it helps you, like I said, for me, I'm a visual person. I like to see things on paper so that I can write them down, step away, and then come back and visit them again and double check, is that really what I want? And then it becomes, again, this roadmap for success. And then I always like to look at traditional, digital, and social kinds of activities. What can I do? What am I currently doing? What can I do? And how can I fit this and kind of pin these up on the wall and say, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and that, and that's going to be enough for me. That's as much as I can handle. This is going to be my best plan moving forward. But it helps to see it all together so that you can see if they make sense, if it's just a good, does this point to this, point to this, and do they work together so that it is a consistent, cohesive kind of plan. So again, these are the marketing steps for success, defining what we're doing, why we're doing it, who's the audience, what are the channels, what are the platforms, when are we going to do it, how are we going to do it, what's the messaging, how do we stand out from the competition, and then now what? When things happen, how are we going to adapt to it so that we can be very successful? So I'm going to I'm going to slow down. Here's my email address and my phone number. It's a cell number. I know it's not 402. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help, and glad to, share some insights and things like that. Um, Elizabeth, and we'll make sure to get that worksheet out to the audience. And I just really want to take a moment to talk about SCORE. Um, this is an incredible organization that has really some amazing experts who are business mentors, and they really can help you and answer questions. So this is a wonderful organization. Pauline has done an amazing job, and all of the other leaders in SCORE, to make sure that this kind of information is available to business owners, because these are some resources that you can really use to improve your business, whether you're early in the brainstorming or you're a startup or you're established. During that whole spectrum, there are people who can help you run your business more effectively. It's free, it's personalized, it's confidential. It's a place to go to get those hard questions answered. And a lot of times you feel like you're on your own, and who do you go to ask to get some questions? So I think this is really something that's very important for business owners to feel like they've got a safety net, some resources, some guides along the way that will help them. So here's the information for SCORE. And I know, Elizabeth, you've got information for SBA as well, but I encourage you all to look at SCORE as a tremendous resource to be able to help you run your business. So with that, now I can take some other questions or more discussion, and we've got a few minutes, about 5 minutes or so. Just, is there anything that I didn't touch on that you would like to know more about, or sharing some more ideas and insights, or did something stand out that you never thought of before that you can't wait to get put into place? I always like it when there's a light bulb that goes off. Any light bulb moments? Any aha moments?
Barbara, this is Pauline. I know you talked about budget, but I know sometimes it's really hard for a business owner or someone who's really juggling the day-to-day stuff to really sit down and think about what is a realistic budget to put together. Can you talk about a little bit more of how they could maybe put together a budget that could be realistic and that they could use and guide, and just a little bit in general on that?
Yeah, thank you, Pauline. And you probably could add to it as well. But for me, um, I recommend that you have to take some time to sit down and think about it. It 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 isn't something that just comes out of the air. It takes a little bit of what am I doing? And so you can put into a spreadsheet, you can write it on a sheet of paper, but list out the things that you believe that you need, that are costs for your business or that are advertising costs. And you can do a lot of online research about, okay, if I need a website and this is, what is the monthly hosting fee? Well, you can go online and look around and ask some of those questions. Or if you're looking to do get some giveaway items, just Google the item and you can go online and you can, thanks Elizabeth, she just sent the worksheet to everyone. You can, I believe in a realistic budget is doing a little bit of research to figure out what the actual costs are of what you're looking at, and you may have to estimate them. When you dig into the details of it, then you understand how all the puzzle pieces go together. Some industries have marketing percentage of sales and, some rules of thumb for these different kinds of things, which is a good, I use that to test my math, what I've come up with. But your business may not be like every other business. And if you have a new business, for example, you're going to probably have to spend more to get the news out there that you even have a business. Whereas if you have an older business, a more established business that is already humming along, you may not have to spend as much. So I know that we've seen, percentage of income goes to marketing. There's probably some rules of thumb. I know in professional services marketing, sometimes a rule of thumb is 5% of a architectural firm's revenue, which seems it, but a lot of firms don't even spend that much money. So, there's different rules of thumb, but I believe in building a cost-based one where you list out everything and do the research to find out what does that thing actually cost, add it all up, and then look at it and say, for the time period, how many times you're going to do something, what's the quantity that you need to buy, how is it all going to fit together, and then you're going to have a realistic, and then you can adjust and pivot if you need to make changes. Pauline, you probably have a better answer than that, but what do you
No.
suggest?
I think that was great, but I also would suggest everybody thinks that social media is pretty much free. But as you mentioned in research, you've got to look at, if you're going to do Google ads, or if you're going to go into Facebook Market page or wherever it is, there's always a cost.
Yeah.
So sit down and determine where your audience is, just as you said earlier, and list those things that might be a cost to that, because social media is not free. It's reasonable, but it's not free. I
No,
mean,
and
some things are.
yeah, and social, also don't forget that it takes time to do it.
Yes.
And that the time that you either do it yourself or that you have to pay someone to do it, which is possible. But if you want to use social media and you aren't paying someone else to do it, then and that becomes the resource of your time, and it just causes discipline. It needs to get on your schedule and on your plan to get it done. So here's a question that we will make the slides available. How do you get the cost of social media? Where they listed? I think you can just Google that
It's a
and
research.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. And don't forget email. There's items like Constant Contact and Emma, and there's probably other email deliverers, but email is still one of the most effective marketing pieces that you can have, guys.
it
But
is.
that
Yeah,
comes with a cost in dollars, cost in time,
yeah,
and the return on it is really high.
yeah. Because you own that email list. It is something that is unique to you, and you can build it and you can work with it. Where again, MailChimp is another one. Yep.
Right. And if you're not collecting emails right now, please start immediately, because that's a way you can outreach and always be in touch with your customers and potential customers.
Yep.
And we're down to about 2 minutes, so you still have a few minutes to ask Barbara a question. there's anything that you would really like to ask her, I'm sure she'll be open to answering.
Absolutely. It's fun to brainstorm and gosh, there's a lot of us out there and we all have a lot of questions. So it's great to, I love the fact that we're doing these webinars. These are a really great source of information. Here's a question for Facebook or Instagram. You can price your paid advertisement based on the market you want to target and reach, right? Which is the best kind of market is the more targeted, the more focused, the better you're going to break through all of that noise. There's a cost that's involved with it.
And that's why it's important, as you said earlier, Barbara, to know your target market. Nobody's market is everybody. Know your target market and zone in.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not that big of a world after all. There's just special people who are interested in you and your business.
That's right. And don't forget to look at your competition. And there's a question on the slides from this presentation. Where will they be located? I believe they'll probably be emailed to you. So
Yep.
learn from your competition and learn what makes you different from it, and then leverage that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're down to the line. And Barbara has provided her email when those slides come out. That will be on it. And the contact for SCORE and SBA are also on it. So if there's anything any of the three of us can do to help you out, we would love to. And we thank all of you for attending and look forward to seeing you at upcoming marketing events. The next one is October the 27th, and it's Introduction to Canva. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.